Hello, let me welcome you to the signature this Sunday. I want to thank you for joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Mwabu Zenjok. Now, my colleague, Vin Martin Ilo, is on the set this afternoon. Vin, would I tell you welcome, or would I ask you whether it's a Greek god that appears once in a year?
You're always doing this. Even when I am not on set with you, I'm producing you.
Yes, but the public wants to see your face.
Well, I'm here.
You are here. Then welcome.
I'm here.
Then, you know the conversation on the COVID-19 vaccine in Nigeria. The first is that Nigerians wanted the vaccine to come in. But after it came in, controversy has arisen. One, because they say a number of countries have suspended the AstraZeneca variant, which Nigeria has about 2 million doses. And the second is that that quantity is not even enough at all. And some people are already saying that the vaccine is not good enough. Let me quote two people, if you don't mind. The Kogi State Governor, Yahya Bello, says he would not take because it is laced with killer whatever. And just a few days ago, Senator Dino Melaye raised query over the quality. He says AstraZeneca vaccine is only 62 or 63% potent. Why did Nigeria import it? It's not fair. How do you key into this conversation?
Okay, first of all, I must say that the governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, is a non-starter, is a non-issue in this matter. He's a non-issue. He has acted irresponsibly in as much as it affects COVID-19. When you're governor, you're no longer Yahya Bello. You represent the people. So sometimes your opinion should not count in some circumstances. What Yahya Bello and some of his friends have done as it concerns this COVID-19, and I'm giving you my own sincere personal opinion, is an impeachable offense. Yahya Bello has a right, as a Nigerian, not to believe in COVID, not to believe in the vaccine. But as governor of Kogi State, he has no right to act the way he has acted since this COVID-19 saga, where he tells his people that COVID-19 is a ruse, is a scam. Now that we are talking about vaccination, Yahya Bello, as much as he says what he says, cannot say that he has not seen families that lost people to COVID, or friends, or very important Nigerians. I'm talking about Nigeria. I don't want to go outside Nigeria. So as much as he has a right, as Yahya Bello, to say it's all nonsense and all that, and I will not take, that is his bloody business. He can take, if he doesn't want it, he should not take. But as governor of Kogi State, he has a responsibility to enlighten the people about COVID. It's based on science, to make sure that all scientific expectations for people in Kogi State, that his government provides it, whether he believes that there's a COVID as an individual or not. And it's a responsibility. It is not by choice that Yahya Bello, governor Yahya Bello, should provide vaccines for the people, for the citizens of Kogi State. And that Yahya Bello, Governor Yahya Bello, because of his high position, cannot and has no right to be saying that the vaccine will kill people. Because for the mere fact that he says it, a lot of people will listen to him. He is governor.
Senator Dino Melaye has also said that Nigeria government is not being fair to Nigerians because, according to him, the AstraZeneca variant, which Nigeria now has only about 63 or 64% potency. Why did Nigeria not go for Pfizer, for the other brands that are 90%, 95%, 97% potent. Is there any evidence, scientific evidence we have come across that says because of ABC, AstraZeneca should not be used?
Again, this thing is based on science. And all the authorities, equivalent of NAFDAC in other countries, they've tested this drug and they said it is good enough. If that drug is good enough for Americans, good enough for Germans, good enough for people of the first world, and besides, it doesn't have to be 60% effective for it to be effective. I hear it's from around 50%. Besides that, on Friday, the European Medical, forgive me, either council but this is a body that regulates, drugs and all that for the European Union. They gave a clear. And as soon as they did that, Germany restarted the use of AstraZeneca. And a couple of other European countries are on board. In the United Kingdom, it is being used. And this subjection of, subjecting that particular drug to even the minutest scrutiny came because of what you're saying, blood clots, this and that. But at the end of it,
the scientific opinion
says that it is good enough. I'm not saying that our government should not look for the best, but
there's no scientific basis to write off this.
To write it off. There's no scientific basis. Anybody that does, and besides, Njoko, it is not by force. Taking this, there's no law all over the world that says you must take the vaccine. Even in the United States, it's by choice. If you want, you take. If you don't want, you don't take. And it might, yes, but it might interest you to know that Trump, who has
made all the noise,
talks like Yaya Bello,
quietly took his jab,
and now
gave his wife the jab.
On Thursday, just this Thursday, he now urged Americans, especially his supporters, that they should take it, that it is good for them. So it is unfair for people like Dino Melaye or anybody. Dino is a big man, rides the best cars in the world, lives in a beautiful house. Dino can isolate, and he will not have, and still remain without COVID. Then there are these people that take along buses, the one that's on long buses and taxis all over Nigeria, crowded buses, crowded taxis, crowded molues. They need that. They need that antidote. They need it. That protection. If Dino or Yaya Bello gets infected by COVID, they will have the best treatment anywhere in the world. They can afford it. But the people they are telling that this thing is not working, and they expose themselves based on what they are saying, they will die. And you're telling them they should not take vaccination that government has brought in free, and scientifically there's no side effect. That is unfair.
That's unfair. Well, our special report for this Sunday focuses on the COVID-19 vaccine controversy. Stay with us.
Our expert committee on the safety of medicines, the Pharmacovigilance and Risk Assessment Committee, has now come to a conclusion on the review of cases of blood clots in people vaccinated with AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine. The committee has come to a clear scientific conclusion. This is a safe and effective vaccine. Its benefits in protecting people from COVID-19 with the associated risks of death and hospitalization outweigh the possible risks.
President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, state governors except Yahaya Bello of Kogi State, and other high-profile Nigerians have taken the vaccine. Many of these public office holders took their jabs in the public with media coverage as an encouragement to other Nigerians to do the same in order to remain safe and keep others safe too.
Today is a demonstration of leadership and faith in the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. I have received my first jab, and I wish to commend it to all eligible Nigerians to do same so that we can be protected from the virus.
However, many countries across the world, especially in South Africa and in Europe, have suspended the administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine on account of its adverse side effects. Former Senator Dino Melaye, speaking to an online TV platform, has doubted if the federal government is fair to Nigerians by importing the AstraZeneca vaccine instead of other brands.
The Nigerian government did not go for the best, putting Nigerians into consideration. There are 4 notable vaccines. The least potent of these 4 is the one Nigerian government imported. That is the AstraZeneca from India, the one Nigerian government imported. We have Pfizer, we have 2 others, Johnson & Johnson. But what I'm saying that out of the 4, the least potent of these 4 is the one Nigerian government imported.
The doubt being created in the minds of Nigerians as a result of the suspension of the administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine by a number of countries, and queries being raised by people like Yahya Bello and Dino Melaye, are stoking unnecessary controversy and a lack of belief that undermines cooperation from the citizens.
When they talk about this COVID-19 of a thing, we did not kind of try to study. We may either go and collect samples from there, study the effect of this COVID-19 and how it can react in our own continent or in our own environment. They said it's COVID-19. We also said it's COVID-19.
The Nigerians should look inward and see if this thing could work well, the way in which they are telling us that is going to be worked out. Because we see some countries like Austria that they have been using it, and it has been not being good effect to their body system over there.
What I'm advising our country is just to at least look for our genuine scientists, make research on it, at least make a deep research on it about how healthy that vaccine is. Then later they should allow us, if our scientists recommend it.
However, the response of the COVID-19 pandemic should be driven by science. And scientists and not politicians say that both AstraZeneca and other brands of the COVID-19 vaccine remain the answer to what has become the world's major health challenge in over 50 years. To discourage Nigerians from taking the vaccine or without the facts, query its potency and efficacy will amount to creating unavoidable health burden for ordinary Nigerians, many of who today already face other challenges which make them even more vulnerable. To do so will not be in the interest of the people. We are still watching the Signature Show on AIT. Then there's another touchy issue that I want us to converse on, and that is security. Every Nigerian public official has expressed concern about security. Just last week, the president himself said that Nigeria is capable and competent to handle the banditry and kidnapping challenge in the country. That raised hope. But there are those who are saying that the media is exacerbating the situation by celebrating criminals, by celebrating insurgents, and playing down on the successes of the government and the successes of our security agencies. When you and I have been in the media for a long time, I'm just wondering, is there any other way the media should be handling the matter of security in the circumstance Nigeria has found itself?
First of all, I want to say that talk is cheap. It's easy to talk. The president can stay in Aso Rock and talk. His officials and security chiefs can stay in their houses and talk. What we as Nigerians are seeing is that the government is not winning this war against banditry, criminality, and what have you. No matter what they tell us, the statistics are there. In secondary schools in the north, Kaduna and those axes, they take these children by day, not a single shot from our security forces, and then we are negotiating. I saw a video, and a lot of Nigerians saw it because it went viral, of some of the kids that have been kidnapped being flogged in their own country, in open. It's not like they were in a room. In an open field. And we hear stories about, we have helicopters flying, we have jets, we have this, we have that. In today's world of satellites and what have you, this is what happens on a daily basis. And now, they want to blame the press. What has the press done? Part of our charge is to be objective, to be truthful, to be sincere, to say it as we see it. And that's what the press has done. So they took 300 and something students. We should not report it on our platform. The newspapers should not report it because we want to support the security agencies of the government that is fighting insurgency. No, that's not our duty.
No, but then there is a problem. And the examples they are citing seem to be convincing.
Like?
That is, in places like United States, in places like UK,
Yes.
the media is circumspect when it comes to matters of security. They do not treat them as common fare. They treat them with a measure of social responsibility and patriotism.
So in the United States, where a man went to spas and shot Asian American women, did the U.S. press not report it? Were they circumspect? Not to talk of a situation where in every part of Nigeria, people can't travel freely. They're abducted every day, killed every day. Security men are killed every day. So what do they want the press to do?
Let me tell you what they want.
But let me tell you,
Yes.
Number one is that the Nigerian press has shown responsibility in reporting this insurgency. They have reminded themselves of their social responsibility role. And that is why, if you check everywhere now, when those in the press report these criminality, banditry, it is no longer, they are not reporting it as Muslims against Christians. They try not to report it as Hausas against Yorubas or Yorubas against Igbos. They are now reporting, and read and see, they report it as the criminals against the Nigerian state. Whether you're Yoruba or Hausa, they don't ask you. They have not reduced that reportage to mundane things. But let me tell you, Mr. Njoko, in the United States, they like to quote. In the UK, they quote. In Germany, in France, that they quote. The president of the United States will bring journalists and give them what they call background. This is what we are doing. Maybe top journalists and editors. When was the last time the president of Nigeria had a background with top journalists? They bring them and tell them, this is what we are doing. These are the challenges we have. These are what we are planning. These are the number of people that we have lost. This is what they are doing. They take them into confidence. The journalists are embedded in the war front. Security is provided for them to do their job, to see firsthand what is happening. The only times the Nigerian army embeats journalists is when they want to do PR. Then you see the pictures everywhere. But in the United States, this is routine. They give them access. Here, they don't give you access. You don't know what is happening.
Then let me speak the mind of those asking the media to do more. They think that the media should be able to galvanize citizen support for government to be able to prosecute this war. But that the reporting style of the Nigerian media seems to rather galvanize a sense of hopelessness, as if all is lost. Isn't there anything we can do to tell the citizen, look, all is not lost, there's something you can do to help?
So we should lie. Should the Nigerian media lie? We tell our viewers and our listeners and our audience that all is well when it is not well.
No, but when let me tell you, the governor of Katsina State only on Wednesday said that the Buhari administration is winning the war against insurgency, and that Nigeria is far more safe than it was in 2015.
Do I need to answer him? Didn't you see?
He's a governor. He has the facts.
And so what? He's a governor, fine. But he can't lie to Nigerians. And why I said, do I need to answer him? You've seen what is happening in social media, reacting to what he's saying. Market women, mechanics, everybody. They're asking him if he's coming, yes, whether he's coming with that, where's this American thing that has gone to Mars? Maybe he went with them. The man says that 2015 is better, that 2021 is better than 2015. How? This is like a drowning man looking for leaves to cling to. And anytime in Nigeria they say corruption is everywhere because the media is not doing enough. The hospitals are not working because the media is not doing enough. This one is happening because the media is not doing enough. Nobody is asking, how have we supported the media to do their job?
Also on Friday, the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria took up this matter of insecurity in this country. How the government is handling it and how the media is reacting to it. We were there and we now bring you the report.
This is SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket.
Human Rights Writers Association says the challenge of insecurity in Nigeria can be traced to three fundamental failures. According to Emmanuel Onwubiko, Chief Executive Officer of Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, the failures include the incompetence of government in protecting lives and property as provided by the Constitution, corruption, which sees public officials embezzle money meant for public good, and which make the judiciary easily compromised, and political dishonesty, by which politicians use thugs to force their way into undeserved office.
You find out that somebody you have to get into office who does not have even a hut in the village. Suddenly the person started building mansions all over the place in the north, and they're seeing all these things. We have mentioned the issue of corruption as one of the driving force of the insecurity that you have in Nigeria, particularly from those of the Nigerian younger people who are frustrated, knowing for sure that the people they have to get into offices have abandoned them to their cruel fate.
To address the situation, the Human Rights Writers Association wants the government to set up a judicial panel of inquiry to unravel all root causes of insecurity in Nigeria.
We have profiled a solution. The government should set up a judicial panel of inquiry to investigate the root causes of this insecurity, and government should never ever play around with the issue of granting amnesty to the so-called repentant terrorists.
The chief executive of Human Rights Writers Association, who addressed journalists in Abuja on Friday, said corruption and incompetence within the political class can be addressed by the citizens by recalling senators who have failed to make the executive govern within the provisions of the Constitution.
You have a Senate, you have a House of Rep that is made up of, oh yes men, Nigerians, you can recall your members from the House.
Many Nigerian public officials, including governors, senators, and high-profile public officials, admit that Nigeria's security challenge is grave. However, President Muhammadu Buhari says Nigeria has both the capacity and competence to handle its security challenges. Well, you're still watching the Signature Show on AIT. Now, there are experiences that people have which touch on their very essence, and I mean on their very essence. But some people have a capacity to rise above some of those challenges. It's not just rising above them, but developing them into an experience that becomes a resource, a comforting resource for any other person who might be in that position. Just a few weeks ago, the Ilo family, let me get the full names now, Vinko, that is Jude and Nkem Ilo, they launched a book, Kassie. You are not Igbo, or you may not be Igbo, but Kassie means take heart or endure it. It also means understand it. The title of the book tells you its content, in fact. The experience Jude and Kim had when they lost their little gold, their shining gold, their little baby girl, Natasha. Apart from launching a book this year, they also launched a foundation. Let's bring you that story that moves the heart. Stay with us.
It is a contradiction, but it is the reality. The family of Ilo in Enugu State has healed from the death of their daughter, 2-year-old Natasha Ilo, who died in 2016. The healing, however, is because they have acknowledged, accepted, and translated the experience.
When I lost her, a part of my heart died. And I needed to find a way, because it wasn't just my loss. I have a wife and a daughter who were also going through horrible times. And you wake up, you look at your family, and you see that they're in pain, and there's nothing you can do about it. That helplessness is killing. But the truth of the matter is that I don't want to stop feeling pain. It's my connection to her. It reminds me that we had something. So actually, yes, I don't want the pain to be as bad, but I don't want it to completely go away. It's my treasured pain. It's a sweet pain, knowing that our bond is still there, that like I keep saying, that I love her, like I loved her, the face that I met her.
The cause of the pain is understandable, the death of our cherished daughter. It becomes deeper because Natasha died in 2016, while the Ilo family was celebrating their family birthday, meeting to keep the bond of the family union strong and aglow. While the family met, later Natasha got involved in a swimming pool accident and died. And her uncle, Vin Martin Ilo, has hardly stopped thinking of that incident and the joy it claimed.
That day started with laughter. It started with happiness. It was just 4 months after we had lost our father. and every member of the family, including our grieving mother, had converged in Enugu at my home to observe a family tradition that was instituted by our father decades ago, our family birthday. Celebrated yearly on the last Sunday of August to mark our parents' wedding in 1963. But what is life after all? Some people live to 90 and nobody gets to hear about them. But Natasha was here for just 2 years. The memory I see every day when I remember Natasha was just like 30 minutes before what happened. And she was in the merry-go-round in the playground. And she was really, really having fun. And today, I think we are going to laugh again.
Jude Ilo, the father of Natasha, has arrested the pain and regret and rather converted them to assets, a source of succor to any family that may be experiencing such a deep loss. He has written a book, Cassie, Loss, Love, and Life. The book is the offloading of a choking experience, a ventilation of the spirit, and lightening of a burden. The book of poems and anecdotes speaks to people who may have been weighed down by such an experience to reassure them that life can also provide its own balm.
In writing that book, I have always tried to express myself, with poetry in my quiet moment, just for my own personal collection. But I began to realize that the things I wrote before had new meaning. I read them differently. And I just felt like writing, so I just kept pouring out myself. And sometimes it wasn't just poetry, I just rant, if I may put it that way. So the book was my escape. And I felt it might be something others might find useful.
Udo Jude Ilo put his tears on paper for us to read. And I believe that we can all be more enriched by reading this book. Here is a thoughtful and honest collection of poetry that gently captures the complexities of the human experiences of love and anguish.
The book, Cassie, Loss, Love, and Life, was launched in Abuja on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. For some of the guests, including Nnamdi Okeke and Ose Ibawo, the Ilo family has displayed exemplary strength of character and a capacity to turn their pain into a resource by writing the book.
Cassia is one of us, but left us in a mysterious way. And the parents deemed it fit to continue to remember her for eternity. And I deemed it proper to be part of the program. Jude and Camilo is one of our closest family friends from the cradle. It's unfortunate this thing has to happen to them, and we commiserate with them.
A lot of kids are suffering. A lot of kids are dying because they don't have somebody to take care of them. A lot of kids are going through a lot of violence because their parents cannot speak out. Even when they undergo such a thing, their parents don't have anybody to talk to. But today, NIF, Natasha Ilo Foundation, has come out to speak for them, to take care of them, to better their lives.
They have managed to turn their grief into an inspiration. And other families who have gone through or going through the same sad loss can find hope and strength from the book that he has written.
As part of immortalizing Natasha, the Ilo family also launched a foundation, Natasha Ilo Foundation, in memory of the girl. Former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who unveiled the logo of the foundation, said the focus of the foundation, which is access to health, education, and prevention of sexual and domestic violence, will play a critical role in making those social services available to Nigerians. He commended the Ilo family for the initiative.
Today here too, we are talking about the education of the girl child and health. This just last week and this week. We get to show how important these two things are to us. Education is central. And of course, you have to be alive even to go to school. So we commend the Ilo family for this noble gesture. And I call on all of us to really support this. And everybody who is in position to touch life, no matter the talent God has given to you, whatever God has given to you, in one way or the other, please try and touch life.
Earlier, Vice President Yemi Osibajo, who joined the event virtually via Zoom, commended the resilience of the couple in turning their pain into a legacy, not only immortalizing their daughter, but also providing support to the underprivileged children and families in grief.
And of course, I was at a complete loss for words. I just couldn't imagine how he, or even for that matter, felt to cope. 5 years later, they both done the children in the market. They converted terrible grief to a civic gift. By establishing this foundation, they said that adversity must not be drowned in self-pity and sorrow. It can become a channel to bless the living, to make life easier for some others, especially children living in the most challenging circumstances.
The Natasha Ilo Foundation will also provide scholarship to indigent children as a means of giving them access to education.
Well, just the concluding part of this part of the program this Sunday. Poverty in Nigeria is a very difficult challenge. At a point, Nigeria was rated as the poverty capital of the world. Now, the current administration has been making efforts to introduce one or two intervention initiatives to address the poverty challenge. But then, if you walk Nigerian streets, whether in Abuja, in Kano, in Katsina, in Owerri, in Port Harcourt, even in Enugu, poverty seems to be staring you in the face. Is it increasing in number, or are we winning the war against poverty?
We are not winning the war. It's increasing in number.
Yes, our government, including this present government, they've scratched poverty a little bit in the face. I mean, if poverty were a human being, it would just be scratches on the face and, I think that part of our problem is that our poverty fight, or the fight against poverty, is ad hoc, has always been ad hoc. For instance, they say 774, I don't know if thousands or hundreds jobs. So these people, this group of people, lucky people, will get 20,000 every month, maybe for 3 or 4 months. Where is this intervention anchored? What is the objective of this intervention? You give them 20,000, they use it and buy food that day. Some go and spend the money in beer palace. And then you do that. Yeah, some people use it and buy food. Some could use it and pay school fees. But after the 4 months or 5 months or 1 year, what happens?
We'll raise some of these questions with the national coordinator of the National Social Investment Program. Vin has touched on policy, need for policy shift. But is the National Social Investment Program a policy shift? That will be our conversation for this Sunday. Please stay with us. Before the current conversation on national insecurity, the federal government had established the National Social Investment Program as a means of tackling poverty in the country. There have been conversations on how effective it has been. Now, this afternoon, I'm conversing with Dr. Umar Binder. He is the national coordinator of the National Social Investment Program. Dr. Binder, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Now, let me ask you straight away. Was this social investment program necessary at all?
Well, yeah, thank you very much for asking this question. It sounds basic, but it's a very, very well-loaded question. You see, our country at this point in time is going through a lot of hectic experiences, social experiences that are difficult. Just like you started, unemployment is very high. Many people are complaining on the issues to do with elements that raises poverty. Poverty is very high in the country, averaging between 40 and 50% of the population. There are a lot of vulnerability. Disasters are happening every year, both desertification, flooding, and now we have the inception of COVID that is again hitting the whole thing. So it's a big pot, melting pot of challenges. So in the wisdom of our leader, President Buhari, and the government, yes, the traditional statutory ministries, say at the federal or even at the state levels, Ministry of Water, addressing issues to do with the provision of clean water, Ministry of Agriculture, addressing issues to do with employability of people to produce food and production of food, Ministry of Health, addressing issues of basic healthcare supply, education, and so on and so forth. Even if you add all these implemented programs and projects, still the pressure is very, very high. And if you put all this information together, let's say in a digital pot, in an intellectual pot, you will now start seeing flashpoints of poverty, biggish potholes in poverty, huge gaps in unemployment, big gaps in unemployment that is based on low skills, huge vulnerability to do with women, particularly in rural areas. And if you were to leave this to the implementing structural ministries, it will be so overloaded that the impact will not be as much felt. So the wisdom of the president is to say, introduce this National Social Investment Program as an intervention, shock treat these big potholes, and allow the leveling grounds to come to a level so that the implementing ministry can continue. So this is the wisdom of introducing the National Social Investment Program, and the government thought that you don't bulldoze everything, don't take the whole bandwidth of challenges, narrow it down to 4 cluster areas, narrow down to a cluster that actually looks at provision of skills to people. Even graduates need further skills to become entrepreneurs. Non-graduates require certain low skills to become practically employable to provide goods and services. Then the next cluster is to say, provide access to microcredit. Microcredit for vulnerable and poorest of the poor, you know, manageable things, 50 or 100,000, access by people who can be able to plant tomatoes or brew zobo and so on and so forth. Then the third cluster is a cluster where you have an off-taking facility. So when the entrepreneurs, they have skills, they now carry credit and they're producing their tomatoes, there's an off-taking cluster to say, bring all your tomatoes so that we can feed the schools, school children in primary schools. So here we are killing many birds with one stone. And I tell you, the umbrella, or what we call the cloud of poverty that powers these 4 clusters, is the National Social Register. For the first time in the history of this country, that we deliberately, based on the directive of Mr. President, using all institutions that are relevant, the Bureau of Statistics, the Space Agency, go to communities, encourage communities to nominate who is poor and who is not poor. So I'd say, oh, Abdul Karim, he is not doing anything, he is weak and vulnerable. No, please put him on the list to take 5,000 naira. Then, if he starts using the 5,000 naira, now he has his own little farm, next meeting, they might say, oh, well done, Abdul Karim, you are now out of the cloud. So you are out of, so that social register provides the facility for Empower to mine from it, the JIP to mine from it, the school feeding program to mine from it, and even the implementing ministries will now have that bag of poor people. So as they implement their program, they know how to mine it. So the index of measurement as we proceed under the NSIP is is that bag, the National Social Register, shrinking or increasing? If it is increasing, we have to think again. If it is shrinking, then we must be doing something right.
You must be doing something right. I just want to intervene, interject if you don't mind. How democratic is this basket of the poor? Because it can be contentious if it's not democratic.
Well, you see, democracy by definition is fairness. Give people opportunity. Give them a lot of information to subscribe to. And then because you don't have all the resources in the world to cope with everything, then you say either first come, first serve, or women will have 10% and so on and so on. That is democracy. Under the National Social Investment Program, it's all about numbers. You talk of Empower, it's about numbers of young people who are graduates, boys and girls, and non-graduates, boys and girls, from 36 states and FCT in 774 local government areas. This program, whether it's Empower, or the JEEP program, or the school feeding program, or even the conditional cash transfer, recognizes this democratic structure. We are a nation, a federation of 36 states and FCT. Therefore, in every state and FCT, there must be beneficiaries. We then cascade to the local government, 774 local governments. In every local government, there must be beneficiaries to be democratic. We cascade to nearly 9,000 wards registered in this country. In every ward, there must be some beneficiaries. And these beneficiaries, because we are trying to tackle poverty, the first thing we did was to now approach the National Bureau of Statistics. Say, hey, Bureau of Statistics, can we have the real data on poverty incidence in Nigeria? And they gave us, because this is the standard institution in Nigeria that can provide you reliable statistics about Nigeria. And they gave us this. And I'm happy to report to you, well, not happy, but not very happy, that the highest poverty incidence based on the statistics from Bureau of Statistics is Sokoto State with 88%. The lowest is in Lagos with approximately 4.5%. So, if you are implementing a poverty eradication or reduction policy, you must use these indices to see where you have big gaping holes for poverty. You inject more resources. Where you have low, you inject. But this is not the only index. We have the second index that, irrespective of whether is the poorest is in Sokoto or the non-poor is in Lagos, every state must have a number that is equally shared. And out of all our programs, we calculate 15% of that pool and divide it by 37, and then allocate a number. So no matter how bad or good you are, some people will benefit. The third indices is by population. We approached the National Population Commission, which is the institution in this country that can tell you population projections and so on and so forth. We got the population again. We used the figures of population to share 15% again of whatever benefit based on population. The next, we actually even use some political indices to demonstrate that, yes, these are mature, these are whatever these. So we share them again on that basis. And then we also share by local governments. We share a component by local. So when you add all this up, then you get a figure. And that figure to us, where we are now, is democratic.
From the time you began till this afternoon we are conversing, if you do an assessment of how well you've done in terms of the figures that you've reached and the population that you've impacted, how would you score this program?
When you look at the resources and the energy requirements and the numbers you're talking about, if this thing is to be sustained, you need to establish a structure within our own constitutional system to make sure that you can sustain it. And then around August 2019, the government, under the leadership of President Buhari, created the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development as a ministry that is mandated to coordinate and facilitate all activities to do with poverty eradication in this country, at the federal level, and at the state level, and at the local government level. Now, whether this government goes or any government changes, there is a ministry, just like Ministry of Works, of Agriculture, there is also Ministry of Poverty Eradication, if you know what I mean. So that is an achievement as far as I am concerned. The starting NSIP has now enabled us through implementation experience to recognize the need to structure poverty alleviation properly within the government, and therefore I give it 90/91%. So that's 100%. When N-Power was rolled out in 2016, as we speak, we are on batch C1, which means we have done batch A and batch B and batch C we are doing now. Batch C alone, whose registration through the portal commenced in 2020 August. Over 6 million people actually subscribed to the portal only on batch C. So out of these 6 million people, the budgeted portfolio is around 500,000. So no matter what happens, based on budgetary, unless if we expand our network to ensure that we attract partnership and support from others, this is what the budgetary support is about. So only
that's million, not
maximum of 500,000 out of 6 million. So 5.5 million will not be attached. So this is the first one, but there will be a second, but C2, which is also another 500,000. So whatever happens, out of that 6 million registered in August 2020, only 1 million will be attached. Now, even that, out of the 6 million that registered, you know, people are quick and the network is breaking. And when we opened the portal recently, the number of people that went back to revalidate their data, to add the data to make it real, is around 400,000. So this is ongoing. And out of that, when you revalidate, you sit a test on the portal. Out of that is around 250 or 280 people have actually sat their exam. So this is how you cascade the procedures for implementing this program. So in terms of numbers, the demand is very, very high and the supply end is very, very narrow. But the good thing is that we now know this. Our social register is capturing this. We now know the volume of challenges we have, and therefore all hands must be on deck. Federal, state, local, development partners, philanthropies, community leaders, religious organizations, everybody must realize, and because of this, the Honorable Minister has approved that we socialize this National Social Register. We go around the country. We've already done ministers of other ministries and all the heads of the financial, the international development partners, World Bank, United Nations, and so on and so forth. They sat on a Zoom meeting, we showed them, and then we were so happy that even the World Bank said, we have tested this social register, we have mined it on some of our projects, we realize that it's actually reliable data, and well done, Nigeria, for commencing this. If you were to use this in the last 10 years, probably poverty would have been average around 10 or 8%. But this is the way to go.
Is government just throwing in money at the challenge of unemployment, or is it doing something that is sustainable?
Well, you see, the world has changed. In fact, the option of throwing away money does not even arise, because this country has deliberately decided to establish a whole research organization called the National Research and Development in Space. We have launched communication satellites and established a company called NICOMSAT to actually provide digital infrastructure. This government has established Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy to deliberately demonstrate to all Nigerians that you cannot survive in the modern world without having data, reliable data, exchanging it quickly, analyzing it quickly, and then drawing out the knowledge out of it quickly. So implementation of Empower, or by implication all the clusters under NSIP, is guided by deployment intensely and deliberately information and communication technology. We have skilled manpower to ensure that everywhere is mapped and captured. We have equipment to ensure that we are collecting information and disseminating all over the place. So I'll give you a tiny example. Adamawa State, where I'm from, is well known for having the largest numbers in terms of animals on 4 legs, particularly cows. So, but what are cows there for? Cows are there for milk, meat, hides and skin, and other byproducts. These are heavy industrial opportunities. But yet, go to Adamawa State, you will not see milk, you will not see skin and hide, you will not see the beef industry working, and other byproduct chains from that industry you cannot see. Why? So it's very clear. It's not that the resources and the opportunities are not there. And it's not that young people are not there. Somehow, we've ended up generically in this country with large pool of opportunities for jobs and large numbers of people without jobs. That technique of connecting them together became the gap. That is why NSIP has jumped in. So building skills is to now not to start telling people of voltage and amperes and energy and power calculations and so on and so forth. It's about saying this is how you can breed goats. This is how you can artificially inseminate sheep and goat and cows. This is how you can time the production of your fodder. And this is how you mix to produce feed for your goats and sheep so that they can be fat in 3 months and you can dispose of them. That skill has already prepared young people, and now they can be able to take ₦1 million, 200,000 or whatever, and acquire young goats, and then from there you can estimate. This is what Empower is doing. And this is what the measurements and the impacts are based on.
Thank you very much. Well, I want to thank you for investing on Sunday with us. I'm sure that is a Sunday matter. Next Sunday will still be another date. Vinko?
Well, I'm not used to being on this side, and I'm used to asking the questions. But once in a while, it's good for
the hunter becomes the hunted.
We need to express ourselves, because sitting on an anchor's chair, sometimes you feel suffocated.
Well, I'm sure that you've enjoyed this Sunday with Duki, the studio dog that we decided to bring on set. At least it has a way of breaking down the stiffness and making the Sunday a little more enjoyable. I'm sure that will be part of your conversation for this rest of this Sunday. My name remains Mwaboze Njoka. I want to thank you for investing your Sunday with us. Let's meet next week. Good afternoon.